Hello, we're here today with Miss Dana Ross. Dana, tell us a little bit about your book. First of all, what's the title?
The title of my book and documentary is Black Fatherhood, Reconnecting with Our Legacy, where I've explored black men and their roles as fathers from their time of enslavement all the way to the present. I utilize my family history going back 4 generations, plus interviews of over 400 men all across the country, and I also interviewed some well-noted historians like Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu and Dr. Ira Berlin.
Oh my, that sounds powerful.
Yes.
That sounds powerful. So what did you experience? Did you learn something during this time that you didn't know?
Well, actually, I was fortunate in that my father, first of all, my father raised me from the time I was 10 on up, and my uncles raised my, young cousins, female cousins, because my mother and sisters all died from breast cancer. So we grew up knowing and seeing that black men can be nurturing, and they're in the home, and they were taking care of us, and it was just a complete contrast to what was being portrayed in the media about African American men as fathers. And then not only that, but my father would constantly tell me about our own family history, how my great-grandfather, or my great-great-grandfather, and my great-great-great-grandfather took care of their children when their wives died during childbirth while they were enslaved. So I had that legacy in my own family, and I sought to seek out others that were doing the same thing. So that's how I, formulated the whole project and started the documentary.
I'm just amazed that you could take it back that far,
Yeah.
and in your passion, it has to be because you grew up with the respect
Right.
that a lot of others didn't have. So, what is the response from the community, from people who have read your book?
Well, the response has been tremendous because there's a lot of information in there that people just weren't privy to. You don't find this information in our history books. Like, for example, if you've seen the movie Roots, and other movies, they always portray the woman as the one who was the glue of the family. She was the one who was begging and sacrificing to keep her family together, when in fact there were fathers who knew the value of their bodies, and they would maim themselves so that they couldn't work in the fields and so that they couldn't be sold as property, to devalue themselves on the auction block in order to keep the value and the strength of their family together, which is very touching. And I got a lot of these stories from the Library of Congress. They have the WPA workers did a tremendous job, and Zora Neale Hurston and Richard Wright were 2 writers who contributed and actually interviewed people back during the Roosevelt administration, and they found that in these interviews they were actually interviewing people who were once enslaved, or they were young children during the time of slavery. So these are actually stories from people who were there. It's not something that was made up or somebody who's guessing. These are coming directly from the horse's mouth, so
Why
to
do
speak.
you think these stories are left out of our history books in the schools?
Well, for various reasons, but I think for one, and in all fairness, when these stories were recorded, they were placed in like a vault or something and forgotten about. So that was a large part of the problem. But when they were discovered, it was an awesome thing. And Dr. Ira Berlin was one of the people who's really responsible in getting them transcribed so that we can have it. And then by them putting it up on the website was a great resource for us. And, I kind of looked to that and other resources and then utilized that to formulate and put together this whole entire project, because it's something that people should know. We need to know our history in order to move forward. So it's very inspiring for a lot of men to know how prominent role models and figures were of black men, especially during their time of enslavement, how they stood up back then, because that helps them with today. It makes them feel good about themselves.
Yeah, if all you hear is negative, then you don't know that you can be more than
Exactly.
what you
Right, because
yeah.
the challenges that they have today don't compare
Yes,
to the challenges that they had during their time of enslavement. So it makes them feel like, listen, if they could do that
That's right.
while enduring the harshest, treatment known to mankind, then how is it that I can't fulfill my roles and my responsibilities as a father today?
And your documentary, tell me about your documentary.
Well, the documentary is actually how it all started, because I'm a filmmaker, but I became an author by default because we had so many stories, and then some people who didn't really want to be in front of the camera, so we decided to compile it in a book. So that's how the book part came out.
Are you in the libraries or in the schools?
I'm in the libraries, I'm in universities here in the United States and abroad, and you know, we're working on part 2. It was a 10-year docujournal, and it was near and dear to my heart, so now we're working on part 2, which deals with the organizations that work with fathers. So we're trying to measure to see, you know, whether or not they're effective and what we can do to improve upon them. And from the passion of me working in this, I've since become a licensed master trainer to train agencies to work with fathers. I've become an affiliate with the Fathers and Families Coalition. I'm the director of the Delaware Valley Fathers and Families Coalition, so I take care of the southeastern Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey, and the Delaware area as well. And we just form creative partnerships with different organizations in those areas to help them with their services that they provide for fathers and families.
Oh, this is a beautiful work. It's a ministry of sorts, because you're healing a nation and you're teaching and empowering children and families. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
How can people purchase your book?
Okay, they can several different ways. My book is available on Amazon.com. Also, we have a website that goes with the documentary and the book. It's blackfatherhood.com. Or they can go to my website, the Delaware Valley Fathers and Families website, which is dvffc.org.
Oh, thank you. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I can't wait to read your book.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.